Orientalism is a distinct manner of seeing and representing the East from a Western perspective, notably the Middle East and North Africa. Orientalism is a collection of beliefs, stereotypes, and representations that depict the East as exotic, mysterious, and inferior to the Western world. Orientalism stems from historical and cultural contacts between the East and the West. European countries, mainly France and Britain, strove to expand their empires and establish authority over eastern territories throughout the colonial era. As they do, did so as it did so, they created a narrative that influenced how they understood and represented the East. Orientalism is distinguished by numerous fundamental characteristics. For starters, it tends to homogenize and essentialize the East's numerous cultures, societies, and peoples. Orientalism, rather than recognizing the great complexity and diversity of these regions, simplifies them into a homogeneous entity, removing individuality and variation. Second, Orientalism frequently depicts the East as static, unchanging, and hostile to growth. It emphasizes a timeless and archaic aspect, meaning that Eastern countries are stuck in the past and incapable of progressing without Western involvement. Third, Orientalism positions the West as the superior and enlightened entity, while depicting the East as inferior, backward, and uncivilized. The Western gaze is seen as the authoritative perspective, and the East is relegated to a passive, submissive role. Orientalists representations are prevalent in various domains, including literature, art, media, and academia. The media has also been important in spreading Orientalist narratives. News coverage of the Middle East frequently portrays it through the prism of terrorism, violence, and extremism, perpetuating assumptions and biases. This influenced not only public opinion but also policy making and the Western approach to Eastern regions. Orientalism has had an academic impact on the study of the East, particularly in areas such as anthropology, Middle Eastern studies, and political science. Orientalists academia frequently elevates Western scholars to positions of authority while marginalizing indigenous voices and perspectives. It maintains power asymmetries and fosters a knowledge production hierarchy in which the West is viewed as the primary source of knowledge about the East. The critique of Orientalism by Edward Said had a significant impact on academia and cultural discourse. He contended that Orientalism is a manufactured framework and that reflects and promotes power dynamics between the East and the West rather than a neutral, objective field of study. Said advocated for a more nuanced, balanced approach to comprehending the East, one that includes many viewpoints, challenges, stereotypes, and recognizes the agency and diversity of Eastern cultures and communities. According to Edward Said, Orientalism has had far reaching consequences in molding Western attitudes, policies, and interacting with the East. Its influence can be observed in historical events like as colonialism, imperialism, and the aftermath of September 11th terrorist attacks. Orientalism functioned as a rationale for the Western domination and control over Eastern territories during the colonial era. It gave justification for resource exploitations, economic exploitations, and political enslavement. The presentation of the East as savage and in need of Western intervention aided in legitimizing colonial endeavors and reinforcing the notion of civilizing mission conducted by the Western powers. Furthermore, Orientalization left an indelible mark on the post-colonial world. Many countries struggle to identify their identities as they won independence from the Orientalist frameworks that had been imposed on them. They had to reshape their cultures, governments, and economies in order to break free from the Orientalist narrative that had been integrated in from for generations. Orientalism revived in Western discourse in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, particularly in connection to of the connection of the Islam and the Muslim world. Muslim became overtly connected with terrorism, perpetuating stereotypes and fueling the emergence of Islamophobia. The image of Muslims as a frightening other widened existing divides and hampered efforts to build understanding and collaboration between the Western and the Eastern nations. However, academic and political critiques of Orientalism have sparked important debates and activities. It has brought to light the importance of decolonizing knowledge, production, and questioning Western centric ideas. Attempts have been undertaken to increase the visibility of marginalized voices, encourage cultural interchange, and create mutual respect and understanding between the East and the West. Increased An increasing understanding of the need to move past Orientalist ideas and engage in more nuanced and courteous discussions had emerged in recent years. The diversity, complexity, and agency seen in Eastern cultures and societies have attracted the attention of academics and scholars. They seek to challenge prejudice, destroy stereotypes, and create understanding between various group of people. In conclusion, Edward Seed's concept of Orientalism has illuminated the persuasive impact of Western depictions of the East. It has revealed the power relations, prejudice, and preconceptions that support these portrayals. We may work towards a more fair and respectful relationship between the East and the West, and promote a more inclusive and knowledgeable global community by acknowledging and critically analyzing Orientalism. Um, the critique of Orientalism by Edward Said has inspired a revaluation of Western ideas, promoting a more inclusive and nuanced understanding of the East. Um, it entails homogenizing, simplifying, and reducing Asian cultures to their core element in order to promote the West as being superior and enlightened.